Brothers and sisters, one of the most beautiful aspects of Islam is how it connects our faith with every part of our lives. It is not a religion that separates worship from work or prayer from livelihood. Islam teaches us that what we do in the marketplace can be just as important as what we do in the masjid, provided that our intention is pure and our actions are pleasing to Allah. This is why Islam promotes a business mindset, not just in the sense of making money, but in developing character, responsibility, vision, and trust. Islam wants the believer to be someone who is independent, who provides for their family with dignity, who contributes to the community with generosity, and who uses wealth as a tool for good rather than as a source of corruption. When we look at the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, we find that he himself was a man of business before he was a messenger. He worked as a shepherd and later as a merchant. He traveled for trade, he negotiated deals, he managed partnerships, and he built trust with those he worked with. And what stood out about him was not just his ability to make profit, but his integrity, his honesty, and his fairness. People called him Al-Amin, the trustworthy, not because of how much he owned, but because of how he conducted himself in business. That title was the foundation of his success, both in trade and later in delivering the message of Islam. This shows us that business is not separate from faith. In fact, Islam elevates the way we conduct business to a form of worship. A business mindset in Islam is not about greed or hoarding wealth. It is about initiative. It is about taking responsibility rather than waiting for others. It is about creating opportunities rather than sitting back and complaining about the lack of them. It is about discipline, planning, and thinking long-term. A believer with a business mindset is someone who knows that every skill they have, every resource they are given, is a trust from Allah, and they are responsible for how they use it. Instead of wasting time, they use it productively. Instead of wasting money, they invest it wisely. Instead of chasing after quick gains, they build something lasting, something that can serve them, their families, and their communities. Think about how Islam emphasizes self-reliance. A Muslim is encouraged to work with their hands to earn honestly, to avoid begging or becoming dependent on others. This is part of dignity. It does not mean that we do not help each other, but it means that we should strive to put ourselves in a position where we can help, rather than always needing help. And the best way to do that is to adopt a business mindset, to see opportunities, to build skills, to create value. Even if someone is not literally running a business, having that mindset changes the way they approach life. It makes them think of growth, of contribution, of productivity, rather than passivity and stagnation. Another reason Islam promotes this mindset is because business is one of the greatest ways to serve others. When you run a business honestly, you provide for your family, but you also provide for your employees, your partners, your suppliers, and your customers. You create benefit that ripples across society. And if you do it with the right intention, every transaction becomes an act of charity. Every fair deal becomes an act of worship. Every contract becomes an opportunity to show your faith in action. Imagine standing before Allah and seeing that your daily work, your business dealings, your honest earnings, were all counted as good deeds because you kept your heart sincere and your dealings pure. That is the beauty of Islam's approach to business. Brothers and sisters, one of the greatest lies of this world is that money is evil. Money is not evil. Money is neutral. It is a tool. It is what you do with it that matters. If you earn it dishonestly, if you hoard it selfishly, if you spend it wastefully, then yes, it becomes a source of harm. But if you earn it with integrity, if you share it with generosity, if you invest it in good causes, then it becomes one of the greatest blessings. Islam teaches us to see money as a means, not as an end, and having a business mindset allows us to control money instead of being controlled by it. A believer understands that wealth is not just to satisfy personal desires. Wealth is a trust. It is an amanah from Allah. We are responsible for how we earn it and how we spend it, and business becomes a way to test that responsibility. Are we fair with our employees? Do we pay people on time? Do we avoid cheating and deception? Do we resist cutting corners at the expense of others? Do we keep our word in contracts? All of these are spiritual questions, not just financial ones. A business mindset in Islam is about remembering Allah in every deal, keeping Him present in every agreement, and ensuring that our profit never comes at the cost of our principles. Now, some people might ask, why does Islam put so much attention on business? The answer is because money and trade are part of human life. You cannot escape it. Every society runs on exchange, on trade, on markets. If Muslims are careless in these areas, if we separate faith from finance, we end up living with contradictions. We pray with sincerity but cheat in our dealings. We fast in Ramadan but lie in contracts. We give charity but delay paying people what they deserve. This kind of split life is not what Islam wants from us. Islam calls us to live as Muslims in every sphere in prayer, in family, in business, in society. And historically, it was this business mindset that allowed Muslims to spread Islam across the world. Islam did not only spread through armies or through scholars. It spread through merchants. Traders from Arabia, from Yemen, from Persia, from North Africa carried Islam with them to places like Indonesia, Malaysia, West Africa, and beyond. And it was not their words alone that convinced people. It was their honesty, their fairness, their integrity. People saw that these Muslims were trustworthy in their dealings, and they said, if this is how they trade, imagine how their faith must be. Entire nations accepted Islam because of the business mindset of Muslims who carried their faith into their trade. This shows us something powerful. Business is not just about profit, it is about Dawah. It is about showing the beauty of Islam through action. You may not give a lecture, but when you treat your customers fairly, you are giving Dawah. You may not write a book, but when you honor your contracts, you are giving Dawah. You may not debate, but when you avoid cheating, when you pay your workers properly, when you deal with kindness, you are showing the world what Islam looks like in practice. This is why Islam promotes a business mindset. Because it makes every Muslim a representative of the faith, not just in the masjid, but in the marketplace. Brothers and sisters, let us not underestimate the importance of this. In today's world, many people judge Islam not by what we say, but by what they see in us. If Muslims are seen as dishonest in business, it turns people away from Islam. But if Muslims are seen as trustworthy, fair, generous, and professional, it draws people to the deen. Your business is your Dawah. Your honesty is your Dawah. Your business mindset is a reflection of your faith. At the same time, Islam warns us not to let business consume us. Having a business mindset does not mean that money becomes our only goal. It means that we pursue wealth in balance, without letting it distract us from prayer, from family, from community, from the remembrance of Allah. It means that we use money, but we never let money use us. It means that we stay grateful when we have little, and humble when we have much. It means that we see wealth as a servant, not as a master. And when we live this way, our business becomes a ladder to Jannah instead of a chain that drags us down. So, brothers and sisters, let us embrace the mindset that Islam teaches us. Let us be people who are independent, responsible, and creative. Let us be people who build businesses with honesty, who earn wealth with integrity, and who spend with generosity. Let us remember that our Prophet was a businessman before he was a messenger, and that his honesty in trade was part of what prepared him for prophethood. Let us teach our children not to fear business, but to see it as a path to worship, to dignity, to Dawah, and to Barakah. And finally, let us never forget that real wealth is not what we keep in our hands, but what we keep in our hearts. A person can have little but live rich, and another can have much but live poor. The difference is Barakah, the difference is integrity, the difference is how closely our wealth is tied to our faith. May Allah grant us wealth that is pure, businesses that are honest, and a mindset that allows us to serve Him in every deal and every decision, brothers and sisters. One of the most powerful reminders that Islam gives us is that worship is not limited to the walls of the masjid. It is not only about the prayers we perform or the fasts we observe. Worship is a way of life, and it extends to every action we do if it is done sincerely for the sake of Allah. This is why in Islam, work and worship are not separate. When you engage in business, when you buy and sell, when you enter into agreements, when you provide services or goods, you are not simply earning a livelihood. You have the opportunity to turn every moment of that into an act of devotion. A Muslim who truly understands this never sees business as just a worldly matter. They see it as a chance to serve Allah, to serve people, and to build their akhirah while fulfilling their needs in this world. Imagine for a moment that every handshake, every signature, every sale, every payment was being recorded not just in your books, but in your book of deeds. That is exactly what is happening. When your intention is pure, when you deal honestly, when you keep your word, you are adding to your scale of good deeds. Every time you resist the temptation to cut corners, every time you speak the truth even when a lie might make you more money, every time you choose fairness over greed, you are worshipping Allah. This is the beauty of Islam. It transforms the marketplace into a place of worship if your heart is in the right place. A business mindset in Islam is not about chasing after profit for the sake of numbers. It is about chasing barakah. And barakah cannot be measured with calculators or spreadsheets. It is that unseen blessing that makes your wealth stretch, that puts peace in your heart, that makes your work bear fruit in ways you never expected. Some people may earn little, but they feel content, their families are taken care of, their lives feel full. Others may earn massive amounts, but their wealth slips away, they are never satisfied, their homes are filled with stress. The difference is not in the numbers, but in the presence of barakah. And barakah only comes when wealth is earned with integrity and sincerity. Think about how many opportunities you have in business to show your faith in action. A customer comes to you and trusts you. You could exaggerate, you could lie, you could hide flaws in what you are selling, but instead you choose honesty. That moment is worship. An employee depends on you for their livelihood. You could delay their payment, you could underpay them, you could exploit their need, but instead you treat them fairly and pay them properly. That moment is worship. A partner enters into a deal with you. You could take advantage of their ignorance, you could trick them into a loss, you could walk away when things get difficult, but instead you remain loyal and just. That moment is worship. Brothers and sisters, every transaction becomes a test of who we are. Every business decision is a chance to prove that we value Allah's pleasure more than quick gain, and the beauty of this is that you do not lose by choosing honesty. In fact, you gain far more. You gain the trust of people, you gain peace in your heart, and you gain reward with Allah. When you are tempted to think that deception might make you richer, remember that dishonest wealth carries no blessing. It looks big, but it crumbles, while honest wealth may look small, but it grows in ways you cannot imagine. We often think of business as something separate from spirituality, but in reality, some of the greatest opportunities for worship are found in the marketplace. When you lower your gaze while dealing with people, that is worship. When you resist cheating in your scales and measurements, that is worship. When you smile at your customers, that is worship. When you are patient with complaints, that is worship. When you keep your contracts even when it is difficult, that is worship. Worship is not only in prostration, it is also in how you treat people when money is involved. And the Prophet of Allah, peace and blessings be upon him, showed us this through his own example. He was not known as trustworthy because he prayed more than others, though he did pray. He was known as trustworthy because he dealt with people fairly, because he kept his word in business, because he never cheated, because he valued honesty over profit. His reputation in the marketplace became the foundation upon which people accepted his message. That teaches us that when a Muslim approaches business with sincerity, they are not just making a living, they are building their legacy, they are building their akhirah. Brothers and sisters, do not underestimate the value of your daily work. You may think you are only selling products or offering services or balancing accounts, but in reality, you are standing before Allah with every choice you make. Your business is your dawah, your dealings are your prayer, your contracts are your testimony, and if you do them with the right mindset, they will weigh heavy for you on the day of judgment. So let us not chase profit alone, let us chase blessing. Let us not measure our success only by how much we earn, but by how much we have pleased Allah in the process. Let us remember that when we choose honesty over deception, when we choose fairness over greed, we are not just running a business, we are worshiping our Lord and building our akhirah. One of the most overlooked truths about our history is how Islam spread across the world. It was not always through the power of armies, nor was it only through great scholars delivering long lectures. In fact, some of the most powerful ambassadors of Islam were not preachers at all. They were merchants, men and women who traveled from city to city, from coast to coast, trading goods, selling products, buying supplies, and in the process, showing the world what it truly means to live as a Muslim. Their honesty, their fairness, their trustworthiness, their kindness, these were the qualities that spoke louder than any words. People saw how they dealt in the marketplace, and they said, if this is how Muslims trade, then their faith must be even more beautiful. That is the power of dawah through business. Think about it for a moment. A person may not walk into a masjid to hear a sermon. They may never pick up a book on Islam. They may never sit down for a formal discussion about faith. But they will walk into your shop, they will sit at your table in a meeting, they will see how you conduct yourself when money is on the line. In those moments, you are the ambassador of Islam. You are carrying your faith in the way you speak, in the way you smile, in the way you deal honestly, in the way you keep your promises, and that representation can either bring someone closer to Islam or push them away from it. That is why business is not just about profit, it is dawah. Imagine a customer walking away from your store or your office thinking, I have never been treated with such fairness, I have never felt such honesty, I have never been shown this much respect. That impression stays with them. They might not remember the product you sold, but they will remember the character you displayed, and that character is tied to your deen. This is how entire nations came to embrace Islam. Not through pressure, not through force, but through witnessing Muslims who lived their faith sincerely in their business dealings. The trustworthiness of those Muslims spoke louder than thousands of words. Every one of us has that opportunity today. Whether you run a shop, manage a company, provide services, or work in trade, you are in contact with people. Each of those interactions is dawah. If you are truthful, if you are patient, if you are respectful, if you are generous, you are inviting people toward the beauty of Islam without even saying a word. But the opposite is also true. If you cheat, if you lie, if you break promises, if you treat people harshly, then you push people away from Islam. That is why integrity is not just a business value, it is a religious responsibility. Brothers and sisters, think of the impact of one honest business person. A single person who refuses to cut corners, who pays fair wages, who delivers what they promise, who avoids cheating, can transform the hearts of dozens of people. That business person may never give a lecture, may never write a book, but their life becomes dawah simply through their integrity. People see them and say, if this is what a Muslim is like, then their religion must be true. This is why Islam promotes a business mindset, because the marketplace is one of the greatest stages for dawah. When you understand this, you stop looking at business as just numbers and contracts. You begin to see it as a trust, as an amanah. You realize that your customers are not just customers, they are souls entrusted to you. Your employees are not just workers, they are people whose dignity you are responsible for. Your partners are not just means to profit, they are brothers and sisters in humanity whom you must treat with justice, and every time you act with sincerity, you are sending a message, this is Islam. Think of the times when people embraced Islam simply by watching Muslims pray on time, or by noticing how Muslims refuse to lie in order to make a sale, or by seeing how Muslims gave extra instead of shortchanging. That is dawah without a single speech. That is dawah that cannot be argued against because it is lived out in action, and that is what we need in today's world. People are not only looking for arguments, they are looking for authenticity. They are tired of empty claims, they want to see values lived out, and you, through your business mindset, can provide exactly that. Every deal you make is dawah, every contract you honor is dawah, every promise you keep is dawah. Every time you choose honesty over deception, you are calling people to Islam without needing a microphone or a stage. And that dawah is powerful because it is real, it is consistent, and it comes from the heart. Brothers and sisters, never underestimate the effect of your daily actions. You may think your honesty goes unnoticed, but it does not. You may think your fairness is just a small act, but it can be the seed of guidance for someone else. So let us remind ourselves, our businesses are not just businesses, they are our platforms of dawah. They are our means of showing the world the beauty of Islam. When you deal with people in the marketplace, you are holding the reputation of your deen in your hands. Treat it with care, honor it with sincerity, and know that every act of integrity is both a transaction in this world and an investment in the hereafter. Your business is your dawah, and your integrity is your message.